Today's Lunch and Learn is being recorded. I will post the recording and the presentation slides shortly after the conclusion of this short webinar. I want to thank you for joining. My name is Dan Hotka, and we're starting 2015 with a couple of tools. Today I'm going to talk about Toad and some code review features that probably a little known feature. It's something, if I were a programmer, I would be very interested in this information. Likewise, if I were management, I would insist that these reports be printed and put with the programs for filing. You will see that it's a lot of useful information as to the content of the programs that you've developed in Oracle. Okay. My short disclaimer. Okay, I am an Oracle ACE director. I like doing these lunch and learns as my way of sharing my technologies among the masses. The Oracle ACE group, we do a lot of things throughout the year. At Oracle Open World, I am invited with the Optimizer group to get some cool internal things. I actually get to meet with the people that develop the Optimizer. So my tuning class in particular reflects my interactions with the Oracle ACE group. Okay. I'm in the process of writing another book. I might have yet another one in the works. Several of you have clicked on my website and have registered for the announcements, and hopefully I'm not flooding you with too much blast information. So I also regularly blog on Toad World. Okay, I do have a public class coming up. I'm doing in February. I'm doing this public class on Advanced PL SQL. I do a variety of other classes. I feature a one price feature. I don't really count by the heads. I'm more interested in a flat fee so that it's a good deal for you, and of course it's a good deal for me. And I do a variety of courses. Okay, today's Lunch and Learn is on Toad and some useful information about Toad. Next week, I'm probably going to show you some SQL developer tips, and I know the groups are kind of mutually exclusive, although there might be some overlap. But next week's a PL SQL topic. I will post the slides and a recording of this presentation on my website shortly at the conclusion. There is the public class, Advanced PL SQL Tips and Techniques. Another name for this class could easily be new features for developers. It is current with Oracle 12 stuff. The class, it's mostly Oracle 10 and Oracle 11 features, but there's some Oracle 12 stuff I'll talk about in there. It's morning presentations. It's very hands-on oriented lab. You're welcome to use Oracle Express on a PC to run the lab environment. If you've got a development environment, that works real well. Pricing is excellent on this, and I'll consider group rates. Let me know how many people you have, and I can get you a really good rate to get a group of your folks in this public offering. I don't do very many public classes. This is a good chance to get in on Advanced PL SQL Tips and Techniques. Okay, today's topic is Toad code analysis. Okay, I talk a little bit about this in the Advanced PL SQL class, but basically it's just a feature that I think people just don't know about. Like I say, it's useful for both management and developers. Okay, so it's code review. Okay, code analysis. It's got a nice report that comes out of it. It's quite useful. You get to it by database, diagnose, code review. Okay, and then you open your code into the thing, and it will do analysis on one. It'll do analysis on a whole series, and let's just take a look at it here. I have got the Toad analysis up. Again, it's database, diagnose, code analysis. You can see there's some other things. If you're DBA, this is quite a nice health check and some other things. But today we're focused on code analysis. Okay, and then I called up the Oracle help, or I'm sorry, the Toad help to talk about the analysis. And let's go back one. And what it does is it performs 3 styles of complexities on your code. It uses the Halstead volume. It uses 3 common metrics. Okay, these are standardized programming metrics that have been out in the IT industry for quite a while. The first one is on computational complexity. The second one is just on code complexity. Okay. How does it stack up compared to other programs, and how complex is each program? The last one I think is kind of interesting is maintainability. What is the maintainability index of this? Can you assign a junior programmer to this code? And this is kind of where the management comes in. The management part comes into all 3 of these phases. But can I assign this task to someone that has just been through the PL/SQL class? Do I need a senior level person for this? What is the feel of that? So let's look at this. I've opened my code analysis. Okay, I got my code analysis tab, and I went to the database. I just loaded the objects. You can load them from a file. You can load them from the database. Honestly, what I would do is when you give the code, if I were a developer, I would probably run this just to see what it thought initially, and then I would run it again and print the report afterwards, or include the report in with my documentation for the thing. So I've got for the code that you're working with, I've got several things out here, and I've already loaded in the temperature, my view, and my little looping example. If any of you've seen some of my demos before, some of you have. I use the looping example a lot to show the profiler and to show some other things. So if we're looking at the package, there's not a lot of code in there. So the Toad code rating is a 1. Toad code ratings, let me look at my notes here. I kind of like this one. It's just an overall, how easy is it? And I'm looking for the grid. I had it. I think it's a 1 to 10 rating, and these all fall in as a 1 because they're all fairly simple. Well, we can go back to our Toad analysis, and we can look at perform the diagnose, and then one of the things in here is the TCR, the Toad rating is it's a 1 to 4 rating right there. It's a 1 to 4 rating. So 1 is good, 2 is pretty good, 3 it's pretty difficult, 4 you should probably revisit the code. Okay, so the code analysis is good. We can look at that rating. The Halstead rating is a 78. Let's look at our code review again, and I believe it was the prior one talked about the 3 ratings. Doesn't give us the numbers. I thought it did. Detailed code analysis. So, all right. If we look at the report's where I saw it. So we got a maintainability index. We've got the McCabe's index. We got the Halstead index. Okay. If we look over here a little further, problematic SQL, complex SQL, simple SQL, and valid SQL. I would be interested, problematic, sure. Complex, yes. I would be very interested in the complex. And by the way, these are all Microsoft Foundation. You can sort these to the top. I would be curious what the complex SQL looked like. If I were a DBA type, I would be curious what code's going against the database perhaps. If I were a manager, I would be very interested in the maintainability index. Programmers, any rule violations. Okay, so we can look at the rules. That's pretty easy to see. And it's this button here, edit the rules. So we can come in here and see the different rules that are being applied to our code. Okay, and as you click on these, it's kind of nice. Down here in the lower right, it tells you all about these. Actually, it's got some good tips in it. Try to avoid certain certain types of code like DBMS output? Is it coded for readability? All these different types of things. Maintainability, okay, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. So that's how you can tweak that up if something is out of bounds and your shop wants to use some of the rules but not others. So let's look at the detailed report. I've got that highlighted. I'm going to click the green button just to run that code again to make sure on my temperature package I don't have any rule violations. The rules it passed all 20 rules. There was no errors. If I were a programmer, I would be very interested in running this just to see what it thought. Okay? See if it found any problems, anything needs to be cleaned up, any unreachable code, anything like that is in this. Not only at the beginning versus the end, are you cleaning up someone else's code? Your manager asks you, why did you take 3 days on that when I thought it was only a day? You can show them this report and say, well, I fixed these things based on this report. So let's look at the report. The report comes down through there. There's our temperature package and that evaluation again. And then it's going to talk about the different metrics down in here. And I just want to scroll along. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that we can see a little bit more of it. There's our grid and the same information that appears up in the top line. Okay? Now, the maximum, it gives us our maximums here. Okay? And it doesn't give the Toad one, unfortunately. The Toad code rating is a 1 to 4. But it's got maximum, it's got 4 statements in it. It really doesn't do very much processing. It's low on the Halstead. It's low on the complexity. And the maintainability is well over the 85% threshold. If we look down in here at the different matrices, there's the CRUD matrix, which is the insert, update, and delete. Is it focused on one app? Is it focused across the app? Is there a particular portion of the code that you should look at based on DML operations? Code analysis errors, what are the errors? If it had some errors, what are the errors? Okay, and then the complexity report. Again, now it's going to break it down. This is a package, has 1 procedure and 2 functions. It's going to break those down individually. As far as maintainability, there's just a short little routines. So, and then it gives you just a little verbiage. You know, this stuff might be good. If you have to put together a report for management, this would be a good place to get some useful information. Copy and paste this out, for example. Talks a little bit in here, and this is something that I do talk about in the PL/SQL class, is the size of your object and the importance of that. You don't want to get over your program global area size. There's a spot in there for max size. You really don't want to increase that if you don't have to. So, and there's the size in bytes it actually ran the report for, so you don't need to do any of that. So, at any rate, one of the things I just want to show you, there's the Halstead complexity. Shows you what the calculations are. Shows you the operations that it's looking for. And then the different ranges and what those ranges mean. Challenging, you know, if it's less than 1,000, it's reasonable code. If it's between 1,000 and 3,000, perhaps you should give it to a senior person. If it's greater than 3,000, you know, maybe it's a candidate to be rewritten so that it's not only easier but improve maintainability in the future. You know, this is something too. And then we go into each of the other ones. It breaks down each of the ratings and what they mean. Okay. And then the maintainability index, it breaks that down as well and exactly what that means. And then at the end here it talks about all the different rules that we saw earlier and basically talks about those. Now, you know, another use for this would be if you're in the evaluation of an application is to bring it in and click on this, and then you can, it might be another metric to consider when you're looking at one package versus another package as far as Maintainability. If you're going to be maintaining it, great. If you're going to be paying the company to maintain it, maintainability is also still very important. So keep these things in mind. Code analysis is a good thing. Comes with Toad. I believe it comes with the base part of Toad. And I'm just going to go back up to the top of the report, and we'll give it a little bit more room here, and return to our PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so a couple of screenshots. We presenters do this a lot, so if something technically goes wrong, we don't have anything to show. We still have something to show about, but this shows the results for my temperature, or for the looping example. I'm sorry, this one's for the looping example. Shows the code if it's one at a time. By the way, if you do a multiple select, it will run some analysis on all of that, but it doesn't give you the in-depth view that you would like. And then there's the report that we just looked at. So it's really useful for any PL SQL. Again, if I were a developer, I would probably run this before, during, and after I'm done making a variety of changes. The before and the after would be to present the management, perhaps, of this is what I did to the thing. If there's any question on how you spent your time and what you maybe cleaned up, if there were a bunch of issues and you cleaned them up, the reports will show that. If there were a bunch of complexities that you broke down and made them simpler, lowered the maintainability, that would be a good thing. So the reports are nicely, they identify complexity, they identify coding and SQL errors, and they identify the ease of maintaining based on industry standard metrics. So we reviewed the code analysis today. The slides and the link to this presentation will be available shortly on my website. Let people know next week, again, we're going to do a SQL developer topic. I want to thank you for joining. Keep me in mind for your training needs. I'm going to check now, see if anyone has any questions. And again, thank you for joining me today.